So I'm really happy to share that Karla Nemeth is here to give some opening remarks. She's the Director of Department of Water Resources, first appointed by Governor Brown in 2018 and reappointed in 2019 by Governor Newsom. And with that, Karla, I welcome you to the stage.
Good afternoon. I guess I arrived right on time, and I can tell you the parking gods were extraordinarily kind. It's really a pleasure to be here and an honor to be here because the folks in this room are the folks who are going to make California work a lot better when it comes to water management. One of the exciting things to me about this past year, many of you in the room probably know that it was actually a year ago, July, we had an executive order from Governor Newsom because we were in drought mode, and we knew from the previous year that even dry years, even intense drought years, have these opportunities with these big pulses of water, these big storm events, and that we need to do everything we can when we get those intense kind of rain events. I think about October 2 years ago, for those of you Sacramentans, when we broke the single day rainfall total record here in Sacramento. So it is our ability to respond to those kinds of conditions is just becoming increasingly important. And so a year ago, July, in the middle of the very intense drought, as part of the governor's executive order, he directed the department to work with our colleagues at the Water Board and the Department of Fish and Wildlife to figure out how do we get these things going. And we set to work on that, I think, maybe in a slightly more relaxed state than we would have chosen with the benefit of hindsight. But we were methodically working through some very real challenges around what happens when we get these projects going. How do we think about permitting? How do we think about monitoring? All of these key features of these projects. And then we had our gigantic, miraculous winter of 2023 that actually went from probably December 31st to, I don't know if you're a Southern Californian, whenever Hurricane Hillary hit in August. And we learned real quickly about where we were ready, where the partnerships that you all have been working so assiduously to forge these past several years, where we had the technical information to help us just start doing. And I will tell you, one of the best phone calls I got during all of that was from Secretary Karen Ross, who called me to say, I haven't heard this much hope in the Central Valley in a long time. And it was really thanks to all of you who had been, again, really laying this groundwork to help when opportunity presented itself to start getting this work done. And one of the observations I'd like to make is that when we have complex things that are technically complex, they're partnership complex. It takes a lot of good partnership work to help these kinds of projects happen. And when they're regulatorily complex, government agencies, I think, tend to take a step back and sort of be awed by that complexity. And climate is not going to give us a lot of grace there. And so when we have these opportunities, our ability to focus and show in incremental ways how this can be done, with a degree of humility about what we know and what we don't know, and with real follow through in how we measure water quality and other sort of key attributes about how these systems can work together, not just from a flood protection perspective, but obviously groundwater level perspective, what challenges that might create for localized water quality, how we do it in ways that better support the environment. when we have that enormous complexity, our ability to just say, reality is knocking on the door. We have a choice and we have an opportunity to pull our best partners together and see what we can accomplish. That lights the way for others. It lights the way for state agencies, for federal agencies, and local communities to start tackling the problem, to feel less overwhelmed, maybe less awed by the complexity that is in front of us, and gives just an enormous boost to our, I think, collective sense that there are solutions out there, and there are solutions out there that we collectively are capable of implementing. I firmly believe we would have not been in this position without all the work that everybody in this room has been doing these past few years. It simply wouldn't have happened. We would not have been ready. And so if you're curious how much Governor Newsom thinks about this, I don't think a week went by in that period from late December to the middle of June when we didn't get a phone call from the governor's office saying, you're figuring out how to recharge this water, right? This is what you're doing, correct? Yes, correct. This is what we're doing. And it features prominently in the governor's hotter, drier strategy, which is our estimation that, with our sort of ongoing precipitation patterns, which in and of themselves will be disrupted, but with the signal, the temperature signal that climate is providing, which is leading towards evaporation and sublimation into the ground, we know that we are likely to see a real gap in water supply availability from surface water by about 10% by 2040. That's an enormous number. That's about 9 million acre feet statewide in California. And it's not meant to be a wildly precise number, but a very educated number that gives us enough to plan for and enough motivation to really start problem solving. So we do have a goal. The governor has a goal that we are on a path to recharge an additional 500,000 acre feet to really take advantage of that underground storage. And one of the really important things we're doing right now is starting to get a handle on what would have happened naturally. What are the opportunities where state and local governments, from a regulatory perspective or a physical infrastructure perspective, have a real role to play in boosting those numbers into the future. And that hotter, drier strategy has been an enormous forcing function, organizing principle, not just for the Department of Water Resources, but our colleagues at the Department of Fish and Wildlife and at the Water Resources Control Board, to help us get the work done and help us get the work done as quickly as we can. It won't get done unless we have terrific partners. With you all, certainly with the environmental justice community, with the agricultural industry, with lots of different folks. But maybe I'll close before I wish you well for your afternoon session. I know you're going to have a terrific panel shortly of state agencies who will share their perspective. But it's an incredible experience to be part of something that gives people hope who had been lacking hope for a whole bunch of reasons, some of which are Mother Nature related, but some of which are really related to us and our ability to govern and manage our water system in ways that meet the climate challenge of the future. So my hat's off to you. Thank you, a huge thank you for all the work that you're doing and your steadfast partnership with the department. And I hope you just have a terrific afternoon. And I know we'll be talking again soon. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Director. That was very inspiring, and I love the ending message of hope.